Rosh Hashanah. What is it? How do we celebrate it? And what does it mean for us today? The fall feasts of Israel are found in Leviticus 23. The first of the fall feasts is the Feast of Trumpets. The Feast of Trumpets begins the holiest time on the Jewish calendar. We read in Leviticus 23, verse 23 through 35, "And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall observe a day of Sabbath rest, a memorial of the blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no ordinary work, and you shall present a food offering to the Lord." The Feast of Trumpets is also called Rosh Hashanah, or Yom Teruah, which means the day of blasting. The shofar is blown in the synagogue, calling people to repentance. Repentance is the central theme of Rosh Hashanah. It is the day of introspection that signals the moment that God opens the book of life. Rosh Hashanah begins the 10 days of awe, with repentance as the main theme. Jewish people celebrate Rosh Hashanah by eating special foods. A round challah, traditionally eaten to symbolize the day that God created the world, whereby we crown God as king over all his creation. Jewish people wish each other a Shana Tovah, which means may you have a good and sweet new year. Apples dipped in honey and pomegranates are eaten to symbolize the blessing and hope of a sweet new year. It is also traditional to read Genesis 22 on this special day. Genesis 22 tells us the story of Abraham and the binding of his son Isaac. In verse 10 we read, "Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I, Hineni. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, seeing that you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram, caught in a thicket by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. We see pictures of the Messiah all throughout this feast. As believers in Jesus the Messiah, we find great hope and great comfort in Rosh Hashanah. God provided a sacrifice for Abraham, but God has provided for us a sacrifice in the person of his son, Jesus the Messiah. The sound of the shofar during this beautiful holiday draws our attention to the second coming of the Messiah, the arrival of the King of Israel, which will begin with the shofar blast from heaven. 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 16 through 18 says this, "For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, and the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Messiah will rise first. Then we who are alive and who are left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So we will always be with the Lord. Therefore, comfort one another with these words."